Your one click on the subscribe button makes a huge difference. Thank you for your kind support.
The ending of Desert Dawn culminates in a powerful decision that brings closure to Luke's personal journey while opening possibilities for a new beginning. After the intense confrontation at Hotel Olga where Luke faces off against both Danes and Fernando Carrillo, and the shocking revelation about Deputy Barnes' betrayal, Luke and Cheyenne ultimately choose to take the money and leave town together. This decision, while seemingly simple on the surface, carries multiple layers of meaning and represents the culmination of their character arcs. Throughout the film, Luke has been haunted by his past failures, particularly his inability to protect his sister Sara and his decision to abandon his hometown over 3,785 days ago. When he first returns as the new sheriff, he carries the weight of these regrets, which is evident in the scene where he reunites with his old friend Michael and mentions he's been fighting against it all the days for 10 years, referring to his alcoholism and personal demons. The money itself has a complicated history. Originally belonging to Fernando's cartel, it was meant to be transported by Kresman, who along with Sara, planned to steal it and escape together. Their plan failed tragically, resulting in both their deaths. The money then becomes the focal point of conflict between multiple parties. Danes wants it, Fernando claims ownership of it, and eventually, it falls into Luke's possession after the bloody showdown. When Fernando surprisingly allows Luke to keep the money after the hotel confrontation, it seems to be a gesture acknowledging Luke's right to some form of justice for Sara. Fernando tells Luke, "Maybe the great boss of the top wants you to start this new one," suggesting that Luke deserves this chance at a new beginning despite their adversarial relationship. There's a sense that Fernando respects Luke's determination and perhaps feels a twisted form of atonement by allowing him this financial freedom. Cheyenne's involvement in the decision is equally significant. Throughout the film, their reunion has been tentative and laden with unresolved feelings. In an earlier scene at the diner, Luke admits to her that leaving her behind was the worst mistake of my life. Their shared history is complicated by Luke's abandonment and his changing his name during his absence. When they finally reconnect emotionally, it's clear that despite the years apart, their bond remains strong. In their final scene together at Sara's grave, Cheyenne tells Luke to pass the page, suggesting it's time to move forward rather than remain trapped in the past. Luke responds, "I'm ready to close this chapter," confirming his readiness to leave behind the trauma and corruption of his hometown. The money represents not just financial freedom but liberation from the cycles of violence and regret that have defined their lives. Their decision to leave also reflects the reality that the town itself remains corrupt despite the elimination of key players like Danes and Barnes. Fernando's operation continues, and the systemic issues that allowed human trafficking and corruption to flourish remain largely unchanged. By leaving, Luke acknowledges that sometimes justice cannot be achieved through official channels. The system itself is too compromised. The money also symbolizes Sara's unfulfilled dream. She and Kresman had planned to use it to escape and start a new life together. By taking the money and leaving with Cheyenne, Luke is, in a sense, completing his sister's journey, fulfilling the escape she never managed to make. It's a form of poetic justice that the money intended for her freedom ultimately facilitates a new beginning for her brother. There's also a practical element to their decision. Luke has alienated powerful figures in the town, exposed corruption in the sheriff's department, and made enemies of what remains of Fernando's organization. Staying would likely mean constant danger or being forced into uncomfortable compromises with the remaining criminal elements. The final exchange between Luke and Cheyenne in the car carries a hint of optimism despite everything they've been through. When Cheyenne playfully comments, "The same guy always," there's warmth in her voice that suggests their relationship has the potential to heal and grow away from the shadow of the past. The money gives them the resources to start fresh somewhere else, without the constraints that previously limited their options. This ending is deliberately ambiguous about whether Luke and Cheyenne will find the peace they seek. The money that enables their escape is tainted by its origins in trafficking and corruption. The cycle of violence that claimed Sara might eventually catch up with them. Yet there's hope in their decision. They're choosing to move forward together rather than remaining trapped in patterns of vengeance and regret. In the final shot as they drive away, The desert landscape stretches out before them, harsh and unforgiving, but also open with possibility. Like the dawn referenced in the film's title, their departure represents both an ending and a beginning, the first light after a long darkness that has consumed both their lives for far too long.